The Apple Watch, the go-to smartwatch for iPhone users. On the surface, it really hasn't changed that much over the years, but underneath, there have been a number of changes and upgrades made to get it to the way the superb Series 7 is. But what if you want to save a bit of cash and pick one up quite a bit cheaper? Well, that's where the Apple Watch Series 5 comes in. At around £180 or $200, is it worth buying given that it's so much older than the latest release? Or should you just, cough up the money and go and buy the latest and greatest? Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and this is my long-term review of the Apple Watch Series 5. The version that I'll be evaluating today is the 44mm Series 5 Space Grey. I picked up this copy for £160 with postage included. The only real issue with it is this tiny nick in the top corner, something that I don't care about personally, as I saved about £20 to £25 on it given this little issue. So I'm happy to go with something that's already a little bit marked up, because then I don't really care too much about marking it up myself. It's worth comparing it right now to the Apple Watch SE, because if you're going to buy new, that is the direct competitor. It's the cheapest of the current outgoing Apple Watches and is closest in price to this one. Hardware wise, they're very similar with the same S5 chipset, the same screen specifications, the same 50-meter water resistance. However, the newer SE enjoys some updated fitness tracking tech, whereas the older 5 boasts an always-on display over the new SE. Given that you are going to be spending about £70 more for the SE, I think that it's actually you're better off going with the used unit purely over the savings. Now, if you're not worried about money, just go out and buy the brand new one. It's significantly better than what we're reviewing today. But if you are looking to get something on the cheap, I would say the Series 5 makes more sense over the SE, since you're saving a considerable amount of money. The Series 5 looks like pretty much all the other Apple Watches. It has this squarish face with convex glass and curved rounded corners. It has a button on the right hand side, as well as the digital crown, which is clickable and turnable of course. You've got speakers on the left and the heart rate tracking tech on the bottom. It's very much business as usual, although compared to the newest Series 7, the screen doesn't go quite towards the edges as much as that new one. The bezels are a bit thicker on this version, however, the Series 5 has thinner bezels than the earlier version, so you can see the progression there. The Series 7 just has quite a lot thinner bezels than the Series 5. I've not once thought of this watch as particularly ugly, though I have to say I don't really find it pretty. It looks like a bit of tech as opposed to a nice timepiece. Of course, you can somewhat customize this look with watch bands, and thanks to the Apple Watch's ubiquity all over the world, there are heaps and heaps of options for both first and third party. I personally struggle with the sort of silicone rubbery strap, as it sort of irritates my skin, so I'd be better off going with sort of a fabric or leather or even a metal, and that's easy to do because there are so many options on the market. The body of the watch can ding and scratch quite easily, so if you go and work on a building site or on a farm, this might not last you all that long before shattering or cracking. But if you work in an office or are less hands-on, then you might be alright. I'm personally a computer repair technician. I ding my watch a fair amount, and this version isn't looking too bad for a 3-year-old timepiece. Performance and software are thankfully great points for the Apple Watch Series 5. It's rather satisfying to use thanks to the super crisp haptics that link in with a great UI. From the main screen, something that you can change with a simple tap and hold, you can swap out metrics and colours. There's plenty of customization here. Menu wise, pressing the crown gives you the app menu, which can be navigated with the crown or with your finger, and pressing the button below it brings up the recent apps menu, similar to sort of holding up, sort of tapping and holding up on your phone. The text is crisp and the layout is logical. It all feels very beginner friendly, especially if you're an iOS user. The Watch 5 runs Apple's latest watchOS 8.6, the same software found on its newest timepieces. How long will it keep getting updates? Well, not only does the Series 4 also run 8.6, but the Series 3 as well. So with that in mind, expect the Series 5 to get at least another 2 years of software updates. Feature-wise, you're getting more here than with the lower-end watches and smartwatches from other brands. Notifications from your phone ping up pretty much instantly on the watch. You can reply via dictation or swiping on this pad, which is pretty cool. You can control media playback on here. This is something that previous versions, or at least previous versions of watchOS, didn't do very well in my opinion. They were really good at controlling first-party applications like Apple Music, but not so good at sort of linking with, say you're sending something over to the Chromecast or the TV, you can now control the audio from your watch. Not something that was exactly impossible to do before, but I found it quite buggy, and sometimes it would connect, sometimes it wouldn't. With the Series 5 on watchOS 8.6, it seems to be completely flawless. Every single time you send something to the Chromecast, or every time, say, you're listening to Spotify, that's something that didn't really work all that well before. Now you can control that all through your watch. If you've got earbuds in, you're running, for example, you just skip track, run, whatever. This integration has become, in my opinion, really top tier, and it works really well across the board. It's something that I'm really happy about, as obviously I ran into those bugs before, and it's great to see Apple improving their products. Battery life isn't great, it must be said. My model is 3 years old at this point, and it gets me about a day of usage. That includes, say, a run, and obviously my commuting. That includes some kind of tracking there as well. It's alright, you know, a day, getting it through a full day, that's fine, but I'm used to sort of watches that get me 3+ days. So the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra that I reviewed recently, that used to get me through about 3 to 4 days. The Huawei watches get you to almost a week, and the Garmin, which isn't quite a smartwatch, it's more of a sports watch, I mean, that would do 2 weeks at a time. So this isn't great, I would say. 1 day might be fine for most people, and honestly, I do charge the Apple Watch on my PlayStation or on my TV or something overnight, so it's not the end of the world. If you're really into sleep tracking though, you might want something that's going to last you longer, because obviously I leave it charging when I'm sleeping, so it can't really track me sleeping at all. And the charging, I find, takes between 1 to 2 hours. I never really let it go below 30%, and that's mainly because I finish the day at about 30%. It does take a big toll on the battery life of the device you're connecting it to as well. So if you're connecting it to an iPhone, the logical thing, you can expect to see about 25-ish, maybe 30% lower battery life than if you were to not use a smartwatch at all. For anyone who's worried about, say, an iPhone 12 mini's battery life, that still gets me through a full day with my AirPods connected sometimes and with my Apple Watch connected all the time. However, I'm a pretty light user, so that's sort of, give that a bit of reference. If you're a heavier user and you're already struggling to get a full day out of your iPhone, it's not going to last you a full day if you have an Apple Watch connected all the time. Now, I mentioned tracking a few times there. This is where I was rather impressed actually with the Watch 5. As with other smartwatch reviews recently, I compared it to a way more expensive Garmin Fenix 7 Pro on a couple of exercises that I completed recently, and whilst the results are a bit off, specifically with the GPS, it got close enough for me to be usable. With that in mind, should you buy one of these for serious training? No, I don't think so at all. You should buy something way more specialised, something from Garmin and Wahoo. But if you're just starting out, or you're an amateur runner for example, this will give you enough relatively accurate info to start assessing and improving your performance, and given that sports is a bit of a bonus to something like this, I'd call it good enough. So, should you buy the Apple Watch Series 5? Well, I think that really depends on your situation. If you're looking for an Apple Watch specifically and you want to get one on the cheap, then the Series 5 is a great option. It packs in the always-on display, fantastic display that is. The performance is really good, and of course you get all that tracking tech. Maybe not as much as the latest model, but you get plenty... the microphone there. You get plenty of features in hardware and software, and it still gets the software support that I think it's worth £180. If you're really into your fitness and tracking sports and stuff, go and buy a specialized watch. I think they do much better jobs. They give you much better data. They can measure your VO2 max, for example, and other metrics like that, something that Garmin is specifically good at. If you're after the latest and greatest features, go and buy the latest Apple Watch. It's about £400 if I remember correctly. And if you're on the Android side, I would say just pick up something like the TicWatch or the Galaxy Watch. The latest Galaxy Watches are really good as well. But I think definitely if you were on the fence about a Series 5, I say go and buy one. They are really good. They're pretty cheap if you get the smaller model, as well as if you get sort of different colors and ones that don't come with watch bands, they can be even cheaper, and then you can just supply your own watch bands, which is what you kind of want to do for, you know, for the sake of cleanliness. So I recommend going and buying your own watch bands whenever buying a used watch in general. You don't have to, of course, you can just give it a deep clean, but I happen to do that. Maybe it's a bit of an OCD thing. I don't have OCD, but it's one of those things where I just feel like if I'm buying used wearables, I kind of need to get new bands. That's probably more important with sort of fabric and leather as opposed to the silicone. And with that, I want to leave today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive. There are all my social media links in the video description as always. I've been Ryan Thomas and I'll catch you later. Peace.